Have you ever considered how the tiniest actions can lead to the most significant changes in your life? It's a question that can make you ponder, isn't it? You may be wondering, how can something so small, something seemingly unimportant, hold such transformative power? Well, my friends, that's the magic of small habits. These small habits, these minute daily rituals, are the unsung heroes in our lives. They are the tiny gears that keep the grand clock of our lives ticking smoothly. They are the subtle yet persistent whispers of change that echo in the chambers of our daily existence. You see, these small habits are not just actions. They are the building blocks of our character, the architects of our destiny, and the authors of our life story. Now, let's set the stage for our exploration today. We're embarking on a journey, a voyage into the world of small habits. We're going to dissect and discuss the power they hold, the psychology behind them, and their real-life impact. And we won't just leave you with theory, we'll equip you with practical tips for integrating these life-altering small habits into your daily routine. Imagine your life as a canvas. Each small habit, each tiny action is a brushstroke. Some strokes may seem insignificant, almost invisible in the grand scheme of the painting. But collectively, they come together to create a masterpiece, a depiction of your life that is uniquely yours. We're going to delve into the fine details of these brushstrokes, these small habits. We'll examine how they shape your behavior, mold your mindset, and influence your outcomes. We'll reveal how they can be the catalyst for change, the spark for success, and the cornerstone of contentment. So, are you ready to embark on this journey? Are you prepared to unlock the transformative power of small habits? Because this isn't just about changing habits, it's about changing lives. It's about harnessing the power of the seemingly insignificant to create a life of significance. Stick around as we delve into the remarkable power of small habits. Because remember, it's the smallest ripples that create the biggest waves. Let's make some waves, shall we? What do we mean when we talk about the power of small habits? Well, imagine a tiny seed. By itself, it doesn't seem like much. But with the right conditions, sunlight, water, fertile soil, that seed grows into a towering tree that provides shade and bears fruit. Similarly, small habits are the seeds of our personal growth and transformation. So what exactly are small habits? These are the seemingly insignificant daily actions or choices that, over time, shape our lives. It could be as simple as making your bed every morning, reading a few pages of a book each night, or taking a moment to breathe deeply when you're feeling stressed. Now you might be thinking, how can such small actions lead to significant life changes? It's all about the compound effect. Just as a single drop of water seems insignificant, but can fill a bucket given enough time, the same principle applies to our habits. A small, positive action, repeated consistently, can lead to substantial changes over time. Consider the example of maintaining a gratitude journal. Writing down 3 things you're grateful for each day might seem trivial. But over time, this small habit can shift your mindset towards positivity, improve your mental health, and even enhance your relationships. Or think about the habit of taking a short walk every day. It may not feel like much initially, but over the long run, it contributes to better physical health, increased energy levels, and a sense of well-being. The power of small habits lies in their ability to slowly but surely transform our lives. They are the building blocks of change, the stepping stones towards our goals. They might seem too small to make a difference, but remember, the mightiest waterfall starts with a single drop. So, small habits are the tiny, seemingly insignificant actions that shape our lives. They are the unsung heroes of personal development and the secret to lasting change. And the best part? Anyone can harness this power. All it takes is one tiny step at a time. But why do these small habits hold such power? What's the science behind it? Well, the answer lies within the intricate framework of our minds. You see, human brain is an incredible machine that constantly seeks efficiency, and habits, particularly small ones, are a way for our brains to streamline our actions, reducing the mental load we carry each day. Let's delve into the psychology behind small habits. Picture the brain as a dense forest with countless paths. Each path represents a different action or behavior. When we do something for the first time, it's like hacking a new path through the underbrush. It requires effort, attention, and energy. But each time we traverse that path, it becomes more defined, easier to navigate. That's habit formation in a nutshell. Our brains respond to habits through a process known as neuroplasticity, a fancy term for the brain's ability to rewire itself. When we repeat a behavior, our brain strengthens the neural pathway associated with that action, making it faster and more efficient each time. This is where small habits shine. They're easy to repeat, which means they can quickly become ingrained in our neural architecture. But there's more to it. Small habits also tap into the brain's reward system, a series of neural pathways where feel-good neurotransmitters like dopamine are released. This system plays a pivotal role in habit formation via something called a habit loop. A habit loop consists of three parts: a cue, a routine, and a reward. The cue triggers the routine, which is the behavior or action itself. The reward comes after the routine and reinforces the habit, encouraging us to repeat it. For instance, let's consider a small habit of drinking a glass of water first thing in the morning. The cue might be waking up, the routine is drinking the water, and the reward could be the feeling of refreshment and hydration. Over time, this loop solidifies, and the habit becomes automatic. Small habits are particularly effective in forming new habit loops because they're manageable and less intimidating. They don't require a massive overhaul of our routines or a significant investment of time. This makes them easier to stick to and less likely to trigger resistance or procrastination. So, when we talk about the power of small habits, we're really talking about the brain's capacity to automate behaviors and the potential of coupling these behaviors with positive rewards. It's a potent combination that can lead to significant change over time. In essence, the psychology behind small habits is a tale of efficiency, reward, and repetition. It's about how our brains streamline processes, celebrate small victories, and reinforce behaviors through constant repetition. The beauty of understanding this is that we can use it to our advantage. By consciously choosing and repeating small habits that align with our goals, we can leverage our brain's natural tendencies for our own personal growth and transformation. Our brains are wired to respond to habits, making these small actions incredibly powerful. But how do these small habits translate into real-life changes? You might ask? Well, buckle up, because we're about to dive into some fascinating stories and examples that illuminate just how profound these little actions can be. Let's start with a tale as old as time, the story of the tortoise and the hare. The hare, with all his speed and agility, was so confident that he'd win the race, he decided to take a nap. Meanwhile, the tortoise, although slow and steady, never stopped moving. He continued his small but consistent actions, and eventually, he won the race. Now, what you're thinking, but that's just a fable. True, but it's a metaphor for how small habits work in our lives. Let's bring it closer to home with some real-world examples. Consider the story of a renowned sports coach who served as the British cycling performance director. He believed in the concept of marginal gains, the idea that making 1% improvements in a myriad of areas could lead to significant overall progress. So he and his team started making small changes, like tweaking the riders' diets and adjusting their sleep schedules. These changes might seem minute, but they led to an astounding result. The British cycling team dominated the world of cycling, winning numerous Olympic gold medals and several Tour de France races. There's the story of a determined individual. She was a smoker for over 20 years and she'd tried everything to quit. One day, she decided to start a small habit. She began walking for 5 minutes every time she craved a cigarette. Over time, her walks got longer and her cravings got weaker. Today, she's been smoke-free for over 10 years and she's even run a couple of marathons. Again, a small habit, but with a big impact. And let's not forget about the role of small habits in our daily goals. Say you're trying to read more. Instead of setting an audacious goal of reading a book a week, what if you started with just 10 minutes of reading a day? That's a small, achievable habit. But over a year, you'd clock in over 60 hours of reading. That's a lot of books. Or maybe you're trying to eat healthier. Instead of overhauling your entire diet, start by adding 1 serving of vegetables to your meals each day. It's a small change, but over time, it can lead to big improvements in your health. So yes, small habits may seem inconsequential in the grand scheme of things. They're easy to overlook, easy to dismiss. But when compounded over time, these tiny actions can lead to significant changes in our lives. They can help us achieve our goals, improve our health, and even transform our lives. As Aristotle once, we are what we repeatedly do. Excellence, then, is not an act, but a habit. And it's these small habits, these consistent daily actions, that truly shape who we are and who we become. So, whether you're working towards a big goal or just trying to make a positive change in your life, remember the power of small habits. Remember the tortoise and his steady, consistent actions. Remember the renowned sports coach and his 1% improvements. Remember the determined individual and her 5-minute walks. These are the stories that remind us of the transformative power of small habits. As we can see, the smallest actions can lead to the most profound changes. So, what small habit will you start today? Now that we understand the power of small habits, how can we integrate them into our lives? Well, let's dive right into it. Let's talk about some practical tips and strategies to develop and maintain small habits and overcome common challenges along the way. Firstly, it's all about starting small. The key to building small habits is, well, to keep them small. For instance, if you want to start reading more, don't set a goal to read a book a week. Instead, start with something manageable like reading for 5 minutes each day. It might seem insignificant, but remember, we're focusing on consistency over intensity. Next, let's talk about triggers. Every habit, small or big, needs a trigger, a cue that initiates the behavior. You might decide to read every day after dinner, making dinner your trigger. By attaching your small habit to an existing routine, you increase the likelihood of sticking to it. Now, let's move on to the concept of habit stacking. This is a strategy coined by productivity expert James Clear, which involves linking several small habits together. So, after dinner, you might decide to wash the dishes, then read for 5 minutes, then brush your teeth. That's a habit stack. It's a powerful way to integrate multiple small habits into your daily routine. So, you've started small, you've set your triggers, you've stacked your habits. What's next? Well, it's important to keep track of your progress. This could be as simple as marking a cross on your calendar for each day you've successfully completed your habit, or using a habit tracking app. Seeing your progress visually can be a powerful motivator to keep going. But what happens when you miss a day? Life happens, and there will be days when you skip your small habit. Don't let this discourage you. The key is to get back on track as soon as possible. In the words of James Clear, never miss twice. If you miss one day, make sure you get back to it the next day. Now let's talk about making your habits enjoyable. If you dread doing something, chances are you won't stick to it for long. So find ways to make your habit pleasurable. If you're trying to read more, pick books you're genuinely interested in. If you're trying to exercise more, find a sport or activity you love. The more enjoyable the habit, the more likely you are to stick with it. Patience is another crucial aspect of building small habits. Remember, we're aiming for slow and steady transformation, not overnight success. It might take weeks or even months to start seeing the impact of your small habits, but trust in the process. The power of small habits lies in their cumulative effect over time. Lastly, be flexible. No 2 days are the same, and there will be times when your routine gets disrupted. That's okay. If you can't find time to read for 5 minutes one day, perhaps you can read for 10 minutes the next. The goal is to maintain the consistency of your habit, even if the specifics might vary from day to day. We've covered a lot today, from starting small and setting triggers to habit stacking, tracking progress, and being flexible. Remember, the road to developing and maintaining small habits isn't always easy. There will be bumps along the way. But armed with these strategies, you're well equipped to navigate these challenges. With these strategies, you're well equipped to start harnessing the power of small habits. By implementing these practical tips and strategies, you're not just changing your habits, you're changing your life, one small step at a time. So, what small habit will you start with? The journey of 1,000 miles begins with one step. Let that step be today. We've journeyed through the world of small habits, but our exploration doesn't have to end here. We've delved into the power of small habits, understanding how they can shape our lives, and examined the psychology that underpins them. We've seen how these seemingly insignificant routines can have a significant real-life impact, and shared practical tips to integrate them into our daily lives. Let's take a moment to recap. We've learned that small habits are the building blocks of change. They're the little steps we take every day that, over time, lead to big transformations. They're the engine behind lasting change and personal growth. We've also discovered the psychological principles behind small habits. We've understood that our brains are wired to resist change, but by making changes small and manageable, we can trick our brains into accepting new habits. We've learned that consistency is key, and that by repeating a habit daily, we can carve new pathways in our brain and make that habit automatic. We've seen the real-life impact of small habits through inspiring stories. We've heard about people who, through the power of small, consistent actions, have achieved incredible things. From improving their health, to mastering a new skill, to transforming their career, these stories have shown us that small habits can lead to big results. And finally, we've explored practical tips to integrate small habits into our lives. We've learned that it's important to start small, focusing on one habit at a time, and to make the habit easy to do. We've understood that it's useful to tie the habit to a trigger, something we already do every day, and to celebrate our progress, no matter how small. As we wrap up, I encourage you to start implementing small habits into your life. There's no need to wait for a new year, a new month, or even a new week to start. You can begin right now. Start with something small, something manageable. Choose a habit that aligns with your goals and start doing it consistently. Remember, the key is to make it easy to do, so you can do it every day. And as you embark on this journey of change, remember to be patient with yourself. Change doesn't happen overnight, it takes time. But with consistency and perseverance, you can transform your life one small habit at a time. So, what are you waiting for? Start today. Begin with that one small step. It might seem insignificant now, but remember, the smallest step in the right direction can lead to the biggest change in your life.